All right, Thanksgiving is over. The turkey has been eaten, and Christmas music is playing in all of our homes now. By the way, let me just ask you real quick. How many of you guys have been playing Christmas music since around, Halloween? Yeah? You are sick and twisted people. And I'm not judging because certain people in my home have been playing it since Labor Day, so that's all I'm gonna say about that. I can't describe, it'd be hard to put into words just how excited we're getting right now about our Christmas gatherings that are being planned here at LCBC. I hope that you're making plans to join us, to be a part of the gatherings. And in particular, if you live anywhere remotely close to one of our 19 locations throughout Pennsylvania, I am confident that one of our 74 gathering time options are gonna work for you. And if you don't live near one of our locations, live out of state, maybe out of country, no problem. We're gonna be having all of our gatherings running online leading up in the days to Christmas, and we would love to have you be a part of it, and maybe even consider inviting some friends or family over to your home, to wherever you watch the gatherings, to join in with you. And guys, I just wanna tell you real quick, we are building these gatherings. We are designing these Christmas gatherings with your friends and family who may not be a part of LCBC. We're building it with them in mind. We're building it with the people in mind that may not have anything to do with church, may not even know what they believe about all of this. And I'm telling you, we're gonna roll out the red carpet at our Christmas gatherings for anyone that you bring, and we're gonna do everything we can to make it as compelling an experience as possible. So make sure to grab your tickets today at all of our locations. For all my Taylor Swift fans out there, we're not gonna run out of tickets. You can just, we don't have Ticketmaster handling this, we're doing it ourselves. Tickets are just a way for us to know how to plan for when people are coming, so grab some tickets and grab a few extra as well to give to some people that you wanna bring with you. All right, today we're starting a brand new series called Easy to See. We're gonna be talking about this for the next couple of weeks leading up to the end of the year, and I wanna get us started today by just asking if you can complete this statement right here. Actions speak louder than... I knew you were the smartest crowd out of all of them. Don't tell the others, you're the smartest. Actions speak louder than words. We all know that. You were probably told that growing up at some point. You've probably told your kids, that at some point. And we all know that this is true, this little principle, and we probably all fundamentally agree with this, right? It's just true. It's been our experience. And here's why. You don't have to live very long before you realize that impact is made through actions, not just words. Impact is made through actions, not just good intentions. That's how impact is made. I remember when growing up, I played a lot of sports, played basketball and football in particular, and I remember, if we really wanted to get under someone's skin, like the worst thing we could say about someone is we'd say, he's all talk. He's all talk. And then we'd add a few non-church words in there as well, but I'm not gonna say those right now. And you did not want that said about you. He's just all talk. In other words, you can talk a good game, but you make no impact on the game through what you say. Impact is made in what you do. And that principle right there, it spills out into so many areas of our life. And here's what I know about you. This is true for all of us. The people in your life that you are most grateful for. If I were to ask you today, hey, tell me a story about the people in your life that you're most grateful for. The people that you would tell me have impacted you the most, you would tell me stories about people not who talked about loving you. Those are not the stories you would tell me. You would tell me stories about the ways that they demonstrated love for you. You would tell me about how they put that talk into action, how they risked something for you, how they sacrificed for you. And here's the other thing I know about you. This is true for all of us. And the times in life that you feel like you've made the most meaningful contribution to someone else's life, where you felt like you've made an impact, just think about a moment right now, where you felt like you made a meaningful contribution to someone's life. If I were to ask you to tell me that story, you're not gonna tell me about a moment where you did that from a distance. In other words, you're not gonna say, I remember making an impact on someone's life. One time they shared something on Facebook and I hit like. I gave them a thumbs up. You're not gonna tell me those stories. You're not gonna tell me about, one time they shared a prayer and I just put thoughts and prayers. That's not what you're gonna talk to me about. You're gonna share stories about the times when you felt like you made the most meaningful contribution to someone else's life. You're gonna talk about stories that you acted on someone else's behalf. Where you moved from just talking a good game about helping them and loving them to actually acting in a way that was helpful and kind. Listen, guys, this is what's behind this series, Easy to See. This is what it's about. It actually comes, the title, Easy to See, it comes from an email that I received a few years ago from someone who had come to our church for the very first time. They were visiting, and they wanted to tell me all about their experience that they had here at LCBC and how it had impacted them. And actually, in the middle of the email, they told me, I'm not sure I believe what you guys believe. I'm not sure I can get there with the whole Bible and Jesus, God thing, church thing. But here's what I want you to know that I experienced when I was at LCBC. And they said that after spending time here and interacting with the people here at this church, this is the phrase they used. They said, your love is easy to see. Now, they weren't talking about me. They were talking about you, as in plural, you, the church. They said, man, I might not believe everything you guys believe, but I could not deny that was true. That being in y'all's presence, man, your love was easy to see. And as soon as I read that, man, that leapt off the screen to me because, guys, listen, is there any more simple and compelling description of what a church should be than that? A group of people whose love is really easy to see, who don't just talk a good game. And listen, I realize that for some of you, this is the reason you've actually quiet quitted Christianity. Everybody's talking about quiet quitting today. You know what quiet quitting is? You show up to work, but you really quit inside. No one knows it yet. Your boss just doesn't know it. You're just putting in the time. Some of you have quiet quitted Christianity and no one knows. Your spouse doesn't know, your kids don't know, your family doesn't know, your friends don't know, but you just you're not into it anymore. You don't believe the whole thing. Some of you, you're skeptical about the whole, about Christianity, and you believe, man, I don't know if it has any credibility, and here's why. Because for some of you, somewhere along the way, you bumped into Christians that were all talked a good game. But man, her love wasn't real easy to see. In fact, there were some things that were easy to see. It was real easy to see judgment, and that turned you off. It was real easy to see apathy. It was real easy to see closed-mindedness. It was real easy to see stinginess. And if that's you, if you're skeptical or you're maybe considering becoming a Christian, but you're not sure you're ready yet, I'm telling you, you're gonna love today. And you're gonna love the things we're gonna talk about in this series because we're gonna talk about topics like compassion and forgiveness and acceptance. And I think you're just gonna be inspired by the life that Jesus describes and invites us into, and yet you get the best of all worlds because you're under no obligation to do any of the things we're talking about over the next few weeks because Jesus has no authority in your life. You're not following Jesus. But if you're here today and you're following Jesus, if you would say that you are a life changed by Christ, I think it's gonna be challenging because living a life where your love is easy to see, that's kind of what you signed up for when you started following Jesus. Why? Because you follow a Savior who over and over and over again would come across needs. Instead of just talking a good game about meeting those needs and helping and engaging, Jesus actually acted on their behalf. You guys know Jesus elevated the dignity of women in remarkable ways in the first century. He acted on their behalf. He invited them to learn. No one was doing this. No rabbi was doing this in the first century. Jesus elevated the dignity of children. We had all these children, 250 children being dedicated here across our campuses at our church. And Jesus elevated the dignity of children. Where everyone else in the first century world dismissed them, Jesus publicly embraced them and blessed them. No one did that. Jesus crossed ethnic and racial lines. Did you know that? He broke down the barriers of racism by investing in the lives of people who weren't Jewish. That was unheard of. And in a world where the pervasive mindset was that if someone were suffering, like someone got sick or might be struggling, then the pervasive mindset at the time was, oh, it must be because God's punishing them. Jesus reversed that. And instead of running away from those people thinking God's curse was on them, he spoke blessing into their life. He stepped towards them and he loved them. That was unheard of. Again and again and again and again, Jesus' first followers witnessed him, who they came to believe, by the way, was God in the flesh, transformed good intentions to loving others into acting in a way that loved others because his love was so easy to see. And one of those very first followers, his name was John. And years after John, he was an eyewitness to Jesus' life. He was there, he had a front row seat to Jesus' life. He saw Jesus and his teachings and how he lived and die and then rise again from the dead. And he witnessed this, and a couple of decades later, John decides he's gonna start writing letters to followers of Jesus to try to articulate what it means to follow Jesus. And we actually, what's remarkable, we still have copies of some of those letters today. And in one of those letters that John wrote, he paints a compelling vision for any of us who are here today and you don't want to just talk a good game about loving others, but you actually want your love to be easy to see. This is what John said. This is in 1 John 3:16. He says, we know what real love is. He was like, I was there, I saw it. We know what real love is because Jesus gave up his life for us. Jesus is like, we don't have to guess on this one. We saw it, I saw it. And there's two incredibly important words that John ties together here in this little statement. Love gave. Love gave. Man, those two words always go together, don't they? Love and generosity. You know, central to the Christian understanding of God is that God is generous to his core. God is not stingy. God is not withholding. God is abundantly generous. And this generous God pours out his love on us with no strings attached. It's the kind of love that gives and sacrifices. In other words, you know what John is saying here? You will never see a more clear and vivid depiction of true love than when you stare at the cross. You will never see a more clear picture of love than that. The cross in which your Savior was willing to go to endure for you. Not because he had to. No one made him. Not because his hand was forced, not begrudgingly, not with contempt. Every now and then we're like, okay, well, if Jesus let me that, he probably was rolling his eyes like, gotta go die for these losers. No, he wanted to. He did it with love. For who? For us. Well, who us? All of us. No matter your past, no matter how far you've run, the poor us's, the wealthy us's, the sick us's, the healthy us's, the addicted us's, the worst criminal us's. He did that for. All the us's that you wish that wasn't true for. All the us's who don't vote like you. All the us's who don't share your values. All the us's who are a mess with their life. And all the us's who are perfect little angels. Everyone is a unique object of God's relentless love, a love so deep that he gave his life for them. And John is about to unpack in such a simple way that when we encounter this kind of love, have you encountered that kind of love in Jesus? Have you looked at the cross long enough to be moved by that kind of love, what was done for you? John says, man, when you do that, when you come into face-to-face encounter with the indiscriminate love of Jesus, man, it will affect the way you live. Because look what he says next. He says, we know what real love is because Jesus gave up his life for us, so we also ought to give up our lives for, now just pause here for a second. John's saying, so we, in other words, in light of, in response to the love of God, because of the love of God, since that's true, we should live different. Now, I don't know how you think John should end this sentence, but if I were reading this, here's what I would expect John to say. In light of that, in light of God's immense love for us displayed in Jesus, so we also ought to give up our lives for Jesus. That would make sense, right? Jesus gave so much for us, we ought to give everything we can for Jesus. We ought to give up our life to give God back in the same way. That's not what John says. Look what John says. So we also ought to give up our lives for our brothers and sisters. People. Your neighbors, the people here today, your family, all the other us's out there. You know what John is articulating here? He's articulating an idea that we've talked about before, but man, you can't say it enough, and it's this. The most appropriate response to the extravagant love of God is to love others extravagantly, period. That is always the most appropriate response to the extravagant love of God, is to simply love others extravagantly. Because love of others is love of God. Jesus said, you wanna know how the world will know you're my follower? Love each other. It's a kind of love that will be defined by giving something up for them. That's what John said. He said, you ought to give up our lives. And some of you read that and you're like, whoa, that's intense. Slow your roll, John. What are you talking about? Give up our lives. You know that word give up there can also be translated lay aside. I think that's actually a simpler way of understanding it. In other words, if you want your love to be easy to see, it will require at some point you laying something aside, you laying something down in order to lift someone up. We tracking? That could be in big ways, that could be in small ways. You want your love to be easy to see, that might mean you have to lay down your agenda and your schedule tomorrow when you get interrupted in order to spend time with someone. That's making your love easy to see. It might mean you have to lay down your right to get back when you could say that thing to your spouse and you know it'll dig. Am I the only one on that one? No? All right. You know what you could say? You lay it down. It might mean that you have to lay down your ability to talk over someone so you can listen. It might mean you have to lay down winning an argument so you can preserve a relationship. And then John gives us another example of what it could look like. He pushes actually even more practical here, and he talks about our resources. Because I imagine the people sitting there reading this letter, first time they're kind of opening it up, they're reading this letter, and they're like, okay, so how do we do that? How do we lay aside our life? And John says, I'm glad you asked. Here's an idea. He says, if someone has enough money to live well and sees a brother or sister in need, but shows no compassion, how can God's love be in that person? I love how practical he is here. How can you say you love God? John's like, guys, let's not overcomplicate this. Let's not overcomplicate it. When you see someone in need and you have the ability to meet that need, and no, you will not have the ability to meet every need. You're off the hook. You don't have to meet every single need in the world. But when you see a need and you do have the ability to meet that need, man, show some compassion. Meet it. One of the words that always strikes me in this passage, by the way, is that word right there, sees. When you see a need. Because there's an assumption that John is making here. You know the assumption he's making here? The assumption is that we're actually looking for needs around us that we can meet. But here's what I know. I know this is true about me. I'm assuming it's true about you. Man, so often we get sucked into seasons of life where our vision gets redirected from looking out and redirected, and now we just look at our own life. We look at our own self. We become the center of everything. And we stop looking, we stop seeing. And anytime we place ourselves in the center, man, our world will get really small really quickly. And our ability to see needs and respond to needs will evaporate. And I think for some of us, man, we stopped seeing needs around us. Why? Because our world's gotten really small. Because we put ourselves at the center of it. And our capacity for empathy and compassion is directly proportional to our willingness to open our eyes to needs around us. In other words, the smaller our world gets, the less compassionate we will live. I told some of you before that years ago, Jenny and I were in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh, the capital city of Cambodia. And we were eating lunch one day at this open air kind of cafe. And so people could come in and off the streets, you know, just kind of at will. And so we're finishing up our meal, and Jenny's got some leftovers. She's about to box them up. And as we're doing this, about 4 or 5 kids walk in off the street and come right up to our table. And these kids couldn't have been older than 7, 8 years old. And they start trying to sell us these postcards. And they're like, postcard, it's the only English I think they know. They're like, postcard, $1, right, postcard. And the person that we were having the meal with, they live in Phnom Penh, and so they were like, do not buy a postcard, do not give them $1. Now, we were about to just give them all that we had. We wanted to buy these postcards so these kids have money. And we were like, why shouldn't we give them the $1? And she says, look across the street. She goes, you see that man? And we looked across the street, there was this man. I don't know if you've ever seen somebody and you just know, man, they're not a good person. That's how this guy looks, right? And he's over there. She's like, that guy has essentially enslaved them. And so every $1 they get, they got to run right back and give it to them. So we didn't give them the $1, but we noticed something as they were walking away. We noticed that their eyes, all of their eyes were glued on Jenny's French fries. I mean, big. And Jenny said, do you guys want some fries? And they said, please. And so they ate these fries up. And then they went on to the other side of the restaurant, and we started packing up, and we're getting ready to go. And as we're getting ready to go now, we're starting to walk out of the restaurant, and some dude from the other side of the restaurant stands up. And you ever know when someone stands up and they stand up fast and the chair squeaks, like, kind of comes back, and you know, oh, they're upset about something. That was this dude. And he stands up quick, and he beelines it for Jenny. Now listen, I'm a pastor, but I will throw down in the name of Jesus if you're coming after my wife. So Plus, I'm in another country, so if I get arrested, I don't care. No one's gonna know. So I'm like, let's go, man, let's go. And he steps up to Jenny and he puts his finger like right in her face and he just says, do you know what those boys did after you gave them your fries? And she said, no. And he goes, they came over to my table and asked for mine. And then he walked out. Guys, when you're at the center of your own world, you think all the fries you've been given are just for you. And how tragic would it be to live such a small life that we think all the fries we have are for us? And we stop seeing needs right around us. Which is why John kind of ends it so simply by saying this. So, dear children, let's not merely say we love each other. Can we not talk a good game on this? Because why? Actions speak louder than words. So let us show in action the truth by our actions. Now listen, if you're not a Christian here today, I just, in my opinion, I feel like this verse alone ought to compel you to at least want to explore whether or not the claims of Jesus might be true. Because if that happened right there, man, everyone would win. Everyone would win if that happened. Your school would win, your family would win, your neighborhood would win, your place of work would win, because that is a beautiful picture of what could be. If everybody just goes, man, we're just not gonna talk about love. We're gonna make our love easy to see. And you know what? They did it. They lived with the conviction that the most appropriate response to the extravagant love of God revealed in Jesus would be to love others extravagantly. And it is what set those first followers of Jesus apart from everyone around us. What set those first followers of Jesus apart was not what they said they believed. What set those first followers of Jesus apart was how those convictions moved them to show the truth of their love in action. What set those first Christians apart was that they were willing to make their love easy to see, to love others in ways that no one else was willing to love them. And the same is true today, guys. It's something we fight for here at our church. We fight to be a place where love is not something we just talk about, but that we show to anyone and everyone. Our church has always been a place where people could come in as messes, where people don't have to play a part in order to be a part of what's happening here. We've been a place where you can hurt and doubt and struggle and wrestle and and at the same time take steps towards victory and celebrate advancements of what God is doing in your life. Guys, I can't think of any greater compliment that can be given to our church than that one right there. Your love is easy to see. But let's talk personally for a second. Let's talk at an individual level. This is about you and this is about me. Guys, I can't think of any greater thing to be said about you than that. I can't think of anything to be better said about me by our children. What if our children would say that to describe us? Our teammates, our coworkers, our employees. That's just a better way to live, guys. Christian or not. But if you're a Christian and you're following Jesus, you believe that one day you're gonna stand before your Savior, face to face with Jesus, and you're gonna be embraced by the one who gave up his life for you. And I can't think, man, if you're a Christian, I cannot think of any greater reward that we could get on that day than to stand before our Savior who gave it all and to have him look us in the eyes and say, well done. Your love was easy to see. It's that vision for our lives, it's that vision for our church that drives us to continually consider ways collectively as a church that we can make our love easy to see for our communities. And in particular, for those in our communities around our campuses that are in most need. You know, we don't have a ton of traditions here at our church, but we do have one that's kind of developed over the years. And We just call it Be Rich. It's a way that we try to make our love easy to see. And we call it Be Rich because it comes from a passage in the New Testament where followers of Jesus were told to be rich in good works. This is what it says. This is in 1 Timothy 6:18. It says, they, Christians, followers of Jesus, they should be rich in good works and generous to those in need, always being ready to share with others. And so we just made a decision years ago to join all of our locations together across Pennsylvania and to join with other churches actually across the country, to spend time giving a concentrated focus on making our love easy to see. And our approach, the way that we do this, our philosophy is kind of simple. Our church does not want to be competitors to the extraordinary nonprofit organizations that are doing exceptional work in our communities. We're not trying to compete with any of our nonprofits in our communities doing work. In other words, this is why you won't see our church start. We don't have food kitchens at our churches or pantries at our campuses or transitional housing. Why? Because we've got organizations in our communities already doing that, and we're not trying to be a competitor. We want to be a partner. We want to throw gas on the fire that they've already got. We want to help them do what they do even better. Our staff actually has identified nonprofit organizations doing incredible work in communities all across the state. And we've gone to these organizations and we've simply said, tell us how we can help. We got thousands of people who call LCBC their home. This is LCBC, and we want to make our love easy to see. How can we help you? And we serve and we work with these partner organizations all year long. And we love on our communities all year long. In fact, over the last few months, we've had over 100 different projects and events that we've been a part of across our state to give back to our communities and serve them well. But then for a few weeks in November and December, right now, we just give a concentrated booster shot of energy to loving our communities through our Be Rich focus. And the way we support our partner organizations tends to come down to two primary things. We give them lots of money and we give them lots of our time, because that's what they need the most. And I am so happy to tell you that this year we are partnering with more organizations than we've ever partnered with. We've got 85 partner organizations across the state that our church is working with proactively to help them do what they do even better. Some of these organizations work with homelessness and address issues of homelessness. Some of them, education. Some of them are helping women who've been trafficked. We're helping rescue them and get them out of that. Some of them are working with women who have suffered at the hands of domestic abuse. Food insecurity we're addressing through these organizations. Providing medical care for the under-resourced. Therapeutic horseback riding centers for children with developmental needs. You can go to our website. You can see all of our partners and what they do. It's amazing. But here's what's crazy. Since we started focusing on this a few years ago, collectively now, you have served, LCBC, you have served over 35,000 hours at these organizations. And if you were to string all that together and put that in the sort of equivalent of 4 years, that's the equivalent of 4 years of time has been given to serving our community. And here's what's even crazier than that. You have now given away $4.5 million. We've given that money away to our partner organizations to help them serve those in need even better. And we are hearing so many incredible things happening as a result of your willingness to make your love easy to see. I'll tell you just a few stories real quick. We got a few pictures here. This is a picture here that we were able to, a few months ago, we were able to help cover 6 months of living expenses for refugees from Afghanistan. And we showed up their house. We're in a Target run. You can see in the grocery carts here, able to get them everything they need for the home, food, and all that kind of stuff so they can get out of the gate and have a home to live in when they first arrive. Here's another thing we were able to do. We provided 1,000 Christmas stockings that were filled with gifts and then were distributed to prisoners with cards also telling them about how much God loves them. And when we delivered them, this is kind of cool, we realized that, a year ago or so, there were still COVID protocols were pretty stringent in the prisons. And for some of those prisoners, that was the first touch point they got from the outside world since COVID. This picture here, this is from our Hanover campus. We actually opened up our building and worked with one of our partners named Thrive, and they serve women who suffer through domestic violence. And here's what we did one night. We just rolled out the red carpet. We provided all the resourcing for it. We provided everything they need, child care. We just pampered these women. We gave them a night on the town. We made sure they had a great meal. You can see in these easels here, we had a place they could just paint, relax, do whatever they needed. We just wanted them to be loved. And we were able to fund that and resource that. Last year, you purchased your money. This is where your money went. You purchased a year's worth of fresh milk for food insecure families across our state through multiple school districts. Here's what you did last year. You purchased a cargo van because of your generosity. We were able to get a cargo van for a ministry and an organization that serves seniors through a mobile senior pantry program, making them more efficient to get more meals out. Just a couple of months ago, this is crazy. Just a couple of months ago, we talked to one of the directors at one of the partner organizations we have, and she told us that not long ago, they were in a place where they were in a very tight spot financially, and she had actually asked her staff that week, later in that week, she was gonna meet with them to tell them they were gonna have to begin cutting services because of where they were financially. But then you showed up. And our campus pastor there called her up and said, hey, I've got something to drop off for you if you're around. And a couple days before that meeting was supposed to happen, he showed up and handed her a check on your behalf from the money that you had given. And it was the exact amount that she needed and that they needed to keep going. And today they're doing great. And God is using them in big ways. And so guys, I just hear all this and I go, man, it's time to do it again. It's time to do it again. And if you've been around LCBC for a while, you know exactly what I'm about to say next. Because we want to do it again. We want to give a ton of money away to our partners to be put to good work for those who need it most. And so the invitation today, it's the same invitation we give every single year, and it's this: would you consider giving $39.95? Yes, you got to say that like a weird telemarketer, all right? Would you consider giving $39.95? And here's what's amazing. You probably already caught this, and you're probably thrilled with this. Inflation hasn't affected this. It's always $39.95. You're like, that's the only thing that hasn't gone up. You're right. Aren't you grateful? And guys, not a penny of the money that's given through our Be Rich effort, not a penny goes to our church, not a penny. There's no administrative costs, there's no overhead, every penny goes to our partners. And we just want to pour out as much resources as we can possibly pour out in this season. And I realize, let me just say this, I realize that for some of you, this has been a tighter year for you because of things that have been going on in the environment around you. And it feels like $39.95, like that might be a stretch for some of you. I understand. Here's the thing, give what you can. Just get on the board. Just be a part of it. If it's lower than that, just give whatever you're led to give. The goal, we never set a monetary goal. We never set a money goal. We just set a participation goal. Let's all participate in some way. And I also recognize that some of you, you're in a position this year, it's a little bit different. You can add a number in front of that. Some of you can add 2 numbers in front of that, and you'd be fine. And so if that's how God is nudging you, just follow through on that. And I actually, tell you real quick, I got an email from someone recently, and they were kind of questioning why we would still be moving things forward as a church in the midst of the inflation and uncertain economic conditions, why we'd still be talking about launching new campuses in the future, why we'd still be doing things like raising money to give away in a season where everyone and everything we're all being told to be wary right now. And the answer's simple, guys. God doesn't put his plans on hold just because the economy is uncertain. God doesn't stop working just because inflation's gone up. And even as we look to pour out resources in our community right now, it's not like any of the needs go away just because there's questions about the economy. In fact, I would actually make a case, I would argue that there is no better time to make our love easy to see than when we give generously, when everyone else around us, the impulse is to tighten up. We open our hands. That'll stand out. And here's what's gonna happen this year because of this. I'll give you just a few projects and then we'll be done. This year, the money that you give, the money that we give to this, one of our partner organizations, they serve veterans and they provide for them when they're in need. And we're going to provide the funding they need to finish HVAC and flooring work to get a second location up and running to serve veterans. That's where your money's gonna go this year, is one place. Where money's gonna go, we're gonna provide a new generator that one of our partners needs as they work outside with homeless men and women to provide resources and food. Our money this year is gonna go to one of our partners who works with at-risk teenagers who need more space right now to host students after school, who do not have a good environment at home to do their schoolwork, and they need a place to excel. And so we're gonna provide all the infrastructure they need to have a great place after school to get their work done and be proud of the work they do and excel. Our funds last year actually helped an organization buy a home to create a safe place for women who were escaping abuse. This year's funds are gonna go to help complete the renovations of that home. so those women have everything they need to thrive. And the last one I'll mention here, this one's kind of fun. It's just simple to me, but I love it. We're partnering with an elementary school that's serving a lower income community in northeastern Pennsylvania. And we went and we just asked, hey, where do you have needs? And you know what they said? I would have never thought about this. They said, man, we could use bulletin boards because we don't have any. There are no bulletin boards in the hallways. And you might be scratching your head a little bit and go, why does that matter? Because I remember being in second grade. Do you remember when you made an A on a test? Didn't happen often for me, but it did every now and then. And you know where the teachers put that? On that bulletin board. Do you remember drawing things? Do you remember creating things and it going on that bulletin board? And do you remember the pride you felt? And those kids should feel that. We want those kids excelling at what they're doing and believing in themselves and knowing the work they're doing. They should be proud of the work they're doing. Guys, we can get them some doggone bulletin boards, right? There's dozens more opportunities that you can go, and you can go to our website. You can see all the things we're gonna be doing there. I just know there's more to be done, and so I'm challenging you to give today before you get to your car. Because here's how I know how life works. You can get to your car, you can get home, you're gonna forget about it. And here's what I know, man. We make impulse purchases all the time, and we end up regretting those impulse purchases. They sit in our garage, we never even use them. This happens all the time to me, probably happens to you. Here's what I found in my life. I've never regretted an impulse give, never. So I'm challenging you today to make an impulse give. And here's how you can do it. A couple of different ways. You can text Be Rich to 20022. You can do that right now. Pull out your phone, text it right now. Be Rich to 2022. You can go to lcbcchurch.com/berich. You can do it in the LCBC app. If you're here in one of our buildings, you can go to wherever you see green balloons out in the atrium if you want to give cash. If you see white balloons, you can give through debit card, credit card there as well. Let's take advantage of this. Guys, I don't want to be a part of a church, and my guess is you don't either. I don't want to be a part of a church that just talks a good game about loving people. And I know that's not what you want either. I want to be a part of a church that risks, that gives, that sacrifices in order to make our love easy to see. So no closing song this weekend. Only the opportunity to respond in whatever way you are led to respond. If you want to pray about anything today, head down to our front left at any of our rooms. We got people who'd love to pray for you. If you're online, you can always go to our website at any point. Let us know how we can be praying for you. LCBC, may the Lord bless and protect you. May the Lord smile on you, be gracious to you. May the Lord show you his favor and give you his peace. Now let's go from here and let our love be easy to see. See ya.